Hello everyone, in this video we'll be talking about the phenomenon of El Nino. My name is Claudia and I'm from Quito, Ecuador.
My name is Michael and I'm from China. For those of you who are wondering what El Nino is, it is a climate cycle that impacts different regions near the equator and in the Pacific Ocean with different climate patterns. It usually happens every 2 to 7 years and lasts from 12 to 18 months. Later, we will explain in greater details about El Nino.
In this video, first we'll be talking specifically about the regions of South America, Ecuador and Peru, and the effect that El Nino has in these countries. We will start with the last Super El Nino that occurred in 1997 and the repercussions it had in local communities and fishery industries. We will explain in detail how the infrastructure, agriculture, businesses, and fisheries were affected. Furthermore, we will be connecting this phenomenon with a well-known topic, climate change, and explain the relation and how rising temperatures will cause a stronger El Nino.
El Nino is a cyclical weather pattern that often causes dramatic weather and climatic changes around the world. When westward trade winds subside, a mass of warm water located in the western Pacific drifts eastward towards South America. Normally, the warmest waters of the Pacific are concentrated in the western tropical region, pushed there by prevailing trade winds from the east. However, every 2 to 7 years during an El Nino, the usually strong winds weaken, allowing the warm surface water to spread east. Rainfall and tropical storms follow.
First of all, we're going to explain the last Super El Nino, which occurred between December 1997 and April 1998. This was the strongest El Nino ever recorded in history. This was an extremely massive event. People from all over the world were affected. In Ecuador and Peru, there had much more warmer water than normal. In Central America, it was a drier season as well as in northern Brazil. Ecuador was directly affected and had no resources to support it. The government didn't know how to act correctly toward the situation. Some of the weather changes that impacted Ecuador included heavy rains, precipitation that doubled more than years with normal rainy season, floods, and rising sea levels. This caused more than 3,000 people to abandon their homes. There were 286 casualties. These were mainly caused by the spread of diseases in the flooding waters. Furthermore, the country lost $1.5 billion in agriculture that were wiped out by the storms and the flood, and $830 million in damaged infrastructure. After this event, the Ecuadorian government has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on 6 water projects that will improve irrigation and flooding in over 140 hectares exposed to flooding that will benefit over 330,000 individuals.
In the ocean, warm water pushes colder water downward, blocking the important upwelling of nutrient-rich waters from the bottom. This causes some marine life to migrate to colder waters. Animals that normally feed on the sea life suffer, and fisheries throughout Central and South America suffer too.
In addition, the concentration of oxygen and the temperature of the water are inversely related. Therefore, the concentration of oxygen in the seawater decreases if the temperature rises. This results in fish going further away from shore, which makes it even harder for the fishermen to catch sufficient amount of fish to support their families. Shrimp and fish farms are also pretty big industries for Ecuador, and El Nino causes the storms to take place more frequently. This increases the risk of flooding at shrimp farms. When the shrimp farm is ruined, so does the family's seasonal income. Speaking of floods, El Nino is indeed a specialist in causing extreme weathers. It is responsible for the droughts and the floods take place in its impacting region. In Peru, agriculture and fisheries are the 2 biggest composition of the national GDP, gross domestic product. However, agriculture is also severely impacted by El Nino. Obviously, floods and droughts could ruin the harvest, but there are actually more profound and more long-term impacts. According to the National Geographic Society, increased rainwater could devastate the fuel system in the long term, while floods wash away the irrigation system that requires years to repair. This not only affects the prices of very basic food such as rice and bananas, but it also results in reduction in foreign trade, which is likely to undermine a nation's economy to some extent. Floods also puts the health and even the lives of public in danger. Floods would serve as a perfect greenhouse for bacteria and culture various waterborne diseases. As some houses are destroyed by the floods, people in the rural areas are very likely to live in crowded tiny houses, which have the condition for infection disease breakouts. What's even worse, the infrastructures such as roads might get destroyed in the floods, and villages are isolated with no access to clean food, water, and sufficient medication. Also, people might get injured or even killed in the landslides. For a country to be able to act against the climate change, it is required that the country has to be economically self-sufficient and relatively stable. When people cannot acquire a sufficient amount of food or have no daily access to clean, sanitized water, no one is going to care about how much degrees Celsius the Earth is going to rise. This is simply because instead of living, they are surviving, a human instinct. Solving the climate change requires a global effort, and what a country is implementing could potentially affect the whole humanity. Green, renewable energy might save you some money in the long term compared to the costs of traditional energy itself. Yet, the installments and maintenance of such advanced technologies will burden the country greatly, especially when tens of thousands homeless are waiting for the trucks loaded with rice and water. Therefore, a country like Ecuador could barely help to stop the climate change. When a country is experiencing the economic downfall, it will be impractical to set sustainable development as its top priority. For the people in Ecuador and Peru, besides their houses are collapsing, they have a lot more to worry about other than having a green city or country.
You may be wondering how this topic connects to climate change and why we're even talking about this. Now that you have seen the impacts that a normal El Nino has on different areas such as industry, agriculture, and health, imagine what will happen if an El Nino with even warmer water and stronger floods happen every 2 to 7 years. The countries will be financially unstable and thousands of people will lose everything. Currently, there are a lot of ongoing research of how El Nino works and how it's connected to climate change. Scientists wonder if climate change is affecting El Nino or if it's intensifying and causing it to take place more frequently. This is one of the reasons that we decided to do this topic, because of the relevance in the scientific community and the curiosity that the world has in this event that's still a mystery in many aspects. While researching for this video, we encountered some difficulties when trying to connect it to climate change. So, we found a theory of how it connects to climate change that we thought it was the best. It is that El Nino is going to get worse and have stronger effects because of the water are getting warmer and it's getting worse. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed it.